The motion is resolved that our support for underdogs is a selfish endeavor.
Support for underdogs is a selfish endeavor.
Yeah, that our support for underdogs is a selfish endeavor. It is also on the chat. Your preparation time begins now.
I welcome you all to the finals of the fundraiser debate. In the proposition, we have Jaldi Karo Ramayan Dekhni Hai, and in the opposition, we have Lakh debate. Without further ado, I would like to call upon the first speaker from the proposition to take the podium. Here.
Am I clearly audible? Am I audible?
Yes, you are.
Okay. Good morning, everyone. I'd like to kick off this debate with actually defining the topic that our support for underdogs is a selfish endeavor. What does it mean to be selfish? Selfishness is every action you take, having yourself in the center. Every action you take is for yourself. You are in this debate to learn yourself. You eat to feed yourself. Every action you take, therefore, all of us know, for a matter of fact, is a action to please this ego, a ego which creates a reality that we see ourselves. I'll come back to that. We always seen ourselves as underdogs. Hey man, there's so less odds of us winning, but we will win. That's what temperament drives us. This temperament of us against everyone is the temperament which has brought us where we are. We support an underdog in any fight in general because most of the time they most probably won't win. That's the chances of them not winning. But we want ourselves to be a part of it. We want to be their supporter. Hey man, I sympathized with him. That's doing my part against the underdog. Who do you define as an underdog? A person who has not a lot of chance of winning. But why do we still stand with them? It is a general fact that we love underdogs. Take up any movie ever made, ever. It's always a hero who has this emotional backstory and just has to defeat society and reinvent it in some way. And that's why they're always the underdog. And maybe, not maybe, actually, we have been conditioned to believe that the underdogs are always right. It's good to fight against the odds. Well, see, we have grown selfish. I won't justify standing with underdogs is good or bad. I'll just prove that it is a very selfish endeavor. We have a simple argument that you stand with underdogs because it pleases you, your ego. That, hey man, I see myself in that guy. That's why you appreciate anyone, your teachers, your heroes, your politicians. Why? Because you see a part of yourself in them. That's the basis of all emotional backstories. May I break this to you? Well, this underdog theory goes right in the face of mass mentality and herd mentality. But it's not. If you'll actually go out there, and there are many studies claiming this, from going from Cambridge to Oxford, the thing is that we, all of us, as a society, as a species, have been made to stand with underdogs because it pleases us. Change is the only constant, and that underdog is the change that we are looking for, seeking that change in ourselves. That's why when you walk into a movie hall, you're always, with your own life problems, but when you leave, you're always inspired by the hero, if the movie that you're watching has a hero. Victory is 1,000 times sweeter when you're blunt. Why? Well, see, it pleases you that you fought against everyone. You've broken the odds. You're special. That's this dilemma that you are special is the very cause of all suffering, isn't it? That very cause makes you selfish. You always want to be the underdog, no matter what. And it is always seen, as we will bring it up much later, that it's not that affiliation with that team or that person. It's always that affiliation with the title of underdog. All actions in life man takes are centered around themselves. You are the center of your life. I am the center of my life. That's why we see underdogs as ourselves. Yeah, man, that guy is breaking odds. That guy is such a cool guy. I like to end by saying an underdog never loses because because the very title of underdog can't lose as long as we have hope. Thank you.
All right. For the next speaker, we have 1 minute of preparation.
Yes, sir.
Guys, a minute is over. First speaker from the opposition, here.
May I start?
Yep, begin whenever.
Delusions of grandeur makes me feel better about myself. A famous quote, and I believe quite an appropriate one here. Do we support underdogs out of pity or compassion, or for personal satisfaction and gratification? I strongly believe it's the latter. Good afternoon to one and all present here today. I, Mahikanshu Bose, will be speaking against the motion. Let's start off as to why we really like supporting the underdogs or the ones, or minorities for that matter. It is because we feel good about ourselves. We feel like we are the greater person and we're doing the just things in society. It's not for the want of them to do better, as opposed, it's about the feeling of gratification and satisfaction we get that causes our support for the underdogs. My friends, it's all about the already existent cognitive biases in our minds for and against certain people and certain terms. Therefore, the entire argument of a just world or any sympathy for underdogs falls absolutely flat, because at the end of the day, we support a certain group of people, which in most cases are underdogs, for our personal satisfaction and our personal gratification of our ego, as my worthy opponent stated in his first speech. Now, I seem to have found a substantial amount of contradiction in the proposition's arguments. To start with, the proposition said that human beings are indeed selfish, and you relate to an underdog because you see yourself in him. So I'd like to throw light on this fact. So when you see yourself in an underdog, you're selfish. You support an underdog because you're selfish and you want to support yourself. That's the contradiction I'd like to point out. Moving further, research shows that you support underdogs because you have nothing to lose there. Research also shows that when something is in fact at stake, the support for underdogs is withdrawn, therefore proving my point of selfishness and no argument of a just society. Further, the concept of Schadenfreude, the concept that you gain happiness and gratification when a larger group of people stand to lose. That is the reason why we support the underdogs, because we want the larger group, we want the majority to lose, because being the minority has become fashionable in today's day. We like to be the minority. It's fashionable and it's in fact selfish. Therefore, in conclusion, ladies and gentlemen, I have only this to tell you: let's face it, we like ourselves, and most of us are selfish for the most part. Let's not live in denial. My friends, the house of delusions is quite cheap to make, but very, very crafty to live in.
3 minutes.
The choice is yours. Live in the castle of truth, introspection, and rationality, or live or in the crafty house of delusions and lies, The truth is that we are not selfless. We are selfish human beings. Whatever we do has a selfish motive, which includes the support for underdogs. Let's not live in delusions, my friend. Thank you.
1 minute before the next speaker speaks. Second speaker from the proposition, please begin.
Good afternoon to everyone present here, my worthy opponents, my own teammates, and the worthy adjudicators. The motion for us today is our support for underdogs is a selfish endeavor, and we would definitely go for it and say everything for the motion, saying that yes, we are in fact selfish. I don't know, for some reason, the first
Hannah, you're
speaker
not
of
audible.
the... Oh. Should I start again?
Yes, please. I couldn't hear the first part of your speech, probably.
Okay, so good afternoon to everyone present here. The motion in front of us, our support for underdogs is a selfish endeavor, and we would definitely go for it because for some reason we also noted that our own opposition, the first speaker, for some reason actually went with us and agreed with us, calling themselves selfish and to face the fact that we are in fact selfish. I don't know why, but it still was there. We would like to elaborate on that too. See, this is a phenomenon. This phenomenon can cause people to switch allegiances between teams in a single series, just based on who's up and who's down. An experiment in one 1980 study conducted during presidential elections, participants disappropriated rooting for General Renner, and when told that there was Jimmy Carter who was leading it, they switched their polls as soon as possible. But then it was told that General Renner is not in fact winning, Jimmy Carter is, they again switched their sides. For some reason, the majority just went with whoever they thought was losing, or at least who they were told were losing. See, when a team is not an underdog anymore, people don't root for them. Something about the underdog identity, it gets to people. They always have this very think to themselves, yes, if you're losing, I will support you because I am a nice person and everyone needs to know about this. Because the very deserving factor needs to be added to you giving them support, just because you have to show to people, yes, I in fact am very selfless, even though that itself defines how selfish you are. See, psychologists consistently find that people get more joy out of unexpected successes than expected ones. We can all agree to this. We worked hard for something, but we for a second thought, nah, maybe this is not going to work. But in the end, when it does, there's more joy than it was when we actually expected ourselves to win. Because we were aware we were going to win, but afterwards we were just in conscious word. Wait, are we going to win? Oh no, maybe not. But wait, we did. It feels really good. But that again is the selfish factor, because you're just going there for how much satisfaction, as the opponent says, satisfaction and gratitude you feel for yourself. Although rooting for underdogs is pervasive, the effect is a mile wide and an inch deep. Shows how much effect you have when you're supporting them, but you still think the cause is wide because you think you did it all by yourself. See, our perception and interpretation in this is the people, they do everything in life for themselves, which my first speaker did say. Although, yes, there is contribution to other people and helping the helpless. But also helping the helpless is also at times to show, oh, yeah, I can help that person. I've got the power and I'm a good person, so I can. Even though it helps in a good cause, it still has a very selfish part to it. You just think selflessly, I have to show people, yes, I'm pretty good here. See, when a person is helpless, a part of you wants to help them because you feel sympathetic. I agree, because, well, if a person is struggling, I would definitely want them to help. But I would also say that I want to help them because I feel that I should show people that I'm also helpful to other people. Thank you.
Cool. A minute before the next speaker starts speaking.
Yes.
So we'll be following the same time management system, right? You'll say 3 minutes off.
Yep, that's okay with you guys?
Yeah, my team, it's perfectly fine.
Guys, a minute is up. Second speaker from the opposition, here.
Yes, sir, ready when you are.
Begin whenever.
Friends, debaters, countrymen, lend me your ears. I'm here to speak on what I do know, and what I know is this. Our support for underdogs is our emblem of humanity, our cherished badge of honor and love, and it is not selfishness. Miss Ahana, you haven't won yet. I am no Prince Hamlet. To be or not to be was never an option for me. So very clearly, with zero ambiguity, let me go biblical. John chapter 15 verse 12 says, love one another, whether leading the tribe or at the back of the pack. Love each one. We support the downtrodden because we are human. We don't want our hopes to be crushed at the start. Emily Dickinson said, hope is a thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings a song without words and never ever stops. Psychology says that we love the underdogs, and it is true, but also it is correct. It is human. It is what makes us sapient. It is not selfish. It is my brother ain't heavy. I can and I will carry him to the rainbow's end until the fabled pot of gold. We are humans. We follow the commandments. We bring up moral and ethical children. We are not Nazi Zyklon B Supermen. And because we are human, we want to be just. We want to be just like God. There's nothing selfish in this creed. From the lower parts to the upper parts of the society, should we not acknowledge everyone? Because, ladies and gentlemen, not all heroes wear pants. And so, like T.S. Eliot says, I am reaching the end of my song. I spoke not loud nor long, now it's up to you and me. On this side, we have the underdog, justice, love, hope. And on this side, we have the unequal weights, cruelty, no hope, no chance, the strong always conquer. But sometimes, my friends, remember, life doesn't give you a second chance. The underdog is humanity. Sometimes, when the gates open and you choose the wrong side, Troy may get burnt. And so I reach the crux of this debate. To be or not to be, that is the question. Thank you.
a minute before the speaker starts speaking.
I'll start when you're ready.
You have like 40 seconds. So yeah, just prepare. All right, begin whenever.
To be or not to be was never the question. And as amazing and as rhetorical as your speech was, that did not prove that supporting underdogs is not a selfish act. And in my speech, I will prove that. And somehow, I will also explain the motion to my very respectful first speaker from the opposition, because I'm very sure he understood the motion wrong, and that's okay. I'll start by using a very stupid example. It's stupid, mind you, not as rhetorical as a second speaker's speech was. When you try to convince your mom that you want to eat pizza, you know your chances of winning that argument are very low, right? But then suddenly dad takes your side and it gives you hope. You think that finally I can get pizza today. And if you do get pizza somehow, because everyone knows it's very tough, but somehow if you get pizza, dad says that it's because of him. That is the what basically this topic meant. You are the underdog here, and your dad is the one who's supporting you for his selfish endeavor. Not that being selfish is wrong. It's right. Because you got to survive at the end of the day. Everything I do it for you? No, Brian Adams, sir, you don't. You do it for the love that you want in return. And that is selfish too. Every human act is selfish. Every. I've written that down in capital letters just to emphasize that point very clearly. When you give someone something, you want them to say thank you in return, right? You want them to have well wishes for you. You want them to give you blessings. You want them to be in a good side of their heart. You want them to be happy for you, and you want to be happy for them too. That's selfishness too, sir. FOMO, fear of missing out, or what's in it for me? Two phrases I use every day, a lot of times. We support who are underdogs. Underdogs are the people who are less likely to win. Like me when I ask for pizza. But we support them. Somehow we support them. Why? Because if they win, we have this sense of involvement. We feel that we're a part of their success. I'm going to remind you that this topic does not want us to argue if whether or not we should support underdogs or not, or if it is this side of humanity and justice and law, or if it is this side where there is political instability and wrongdoings. It wants us to, I don't know if you use the word political instability, but somehow related to it. It wants us to know, it wants us to argue about if it is a selfish act or not. And again, if every human act is selfish, then it is too. I'm from a Christian school, so the Bible phrase the Bible verse that you use, that you should love one another either from the front or from the back. So when you love one another, you expect love in return, and that is selfish too. It's said that a great speaker or politician involves his people in his speech or any plan. You know why? Because because any good speech involves people, gives people the sense of involvement. Why? Because as humans, we crave involvement. When you see a group of your friends fighting with someone, you root for them. Why? Because you want them to win. And if they win, you can say that I was a part of this. I was a part of this great team that won. It was because of me. It was somehow because of me that they won. Now, let's see any political plan that came into being. If we supported it and if it came into place, so basically what I'm saying, my point, the whole point of my speech was that everything we do is for selfish reasons. And in all the examples that I gave you, I proved that humans are a selfish race, and I did not prove that is bad. Because you got to survive. At the end of the day, it is you yourself who has to stand up for yourself and who wants everything for you. I would end by saying, why are we debating? You say we debate to make our point heard, but that is selfish too. Our point heard. We debate to gain knowledge, and we debate, if not to win, then to learn. And that is selfish too. Every human act is selfish in nature. And that is where I rest my case.
1 minute before the last speaker starts speaking. Also, guys, I'd advise you to limit to the time limit. Like, whatever you say after 4 minutes doesn't count. So you're really wasting your time. Stick to the time limit. All right, 1 minute. Last speaker from the opposition team, here.
All right. Am I audible? Is my voice cracking by any chance?
Yeah, you're audible to me. Ajis, is he audible?
Thank you.
Yeah, it's perfect.
Yes, you're audible, Aryan.
Okay. Thank you very much. Albert Einstein once said, and I believe he had the present proposition in mind when he said this: great spirits have always encountered violent opposition from mediocre minds. Greetings, ladies and gentlemen, and what the proposition is doing today is a classic example of what got us into this mess of a patriarchal and hegemonical system that we call our society. By claiming that by supporting underdogs, we are selfish. We are not only tarnishing the lives of those who have worked to support the underprivileged for many years, we are giving them a reason to not support them again. Now, getting to the motion at hand, it is simply an aspect of human nature that has no basis in selfishness. Psychologically speaking, it is merely a question of heuristics, which, as we know, is the basis of all cognitive biases, as Chris mentioned. The cognitive bias in this regard is the bandwagon effect. Here, joining the bandwagon is a truly subconscious effect with no want or need involved, while being selfish is a conscious act. I choose myself over someone can only be possible when I know why and how I can choose myself over them. That is a conscious act, while choosing an underdog is a subconscious act. They are not linked together using what we know neurologically and psychologically. Now, the proposition has been very blatant with regards to how much they oppose rhetoric, and I find that amusing because a total of 7 stories were presented by the proposition, all of them which have no basis in logic or otherwise. And after all, that is exactly what a story is: fiction. Anyway, I happen to be an atheist, and my interpretation of religion is similar to Yuval Noah Harari's book, Sapiens' Interpretation of Religion, which is a sociological concept. I do not believe in God. I respect anyone's opinion if they do. However, I believe that every religion was established to bring order to a society. Every religion propagates selflessness. What every religion also does is show us stories similar to David beating Goliath. And that brings me to my next point, the elaboration likelihood model of persuasion. Ladies and gentlemen, using this peripheral aspect of this theory, not theory, concept, we now know that humans are inclined to believe in a certain thing. Not just because we think of it in a certain way, but because we are trained to believe in that using what we have evolved, using that what we have evolved with. Now, Parisa and Ahana presented a significant amount of examples, rhetoric, stories. Every single example applied to the top 1% of our population. Buying pizza is not something that a person on the street can do. And why? Why is this relevant? Because not only the top 1% can support underdogs. Supporting someone who you think may not have the same level of expertise is also supporting an underdog. It is also something that an underprivileged person can do. It is not selfish, because selfishness is when I do something to get something in return. I agree, humans are selfish. I don't get anything by putting up a story or claiming that someone is doing well by being an underdog, by defying the odds. If that were true, then whatever we know of society today is false. I'd like to end by a quote here using what Martin Luther King said. There is nothing more dangerous in this world than conscientious stupidity and absolute blatant ignorance. I rest my case here.
All right, guys, thank you for a wonderful debate.